Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Talk Sport on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of the program. Well, we got a result that we are not expecting. As at yesterday, we'll have that conversation hanging with 11 points. What's the next few weeks going to say? Talking about the fate of the Super Eagles in terms of qualifying to the World Cup. We're going to have that conversation, and also we're going to have conversations around, World Cup generally, and also have conversations around grassroots sports development. And I won't be doing the talking alone. I'll be introducing someone as the show continues. We'll be having those conversations. But today, let's start from the home front, as always, as Nigerian Cricket Federation has named 15 players that will be representing the Yellow Greens squad for the World Cup qualifiers. As the Nigerian Cricket Federation has named a 15-man squad for the 2026 ICC Men's T20 World Cup African qualifiers, which will be played in Zimbabwe from September the 28th till October the 4th. Captain Sylvester Okpe leads the team, and he will be joined by his brother Isaac Okpe, Elijah Olaye, and Suleiman Selman, and then Suleiman Rivers and Isaac Danladi, who have all been to different foreign trainings since July. The trio Okpe, Olayin and Sule were in Zimbabwe for a domestic league from August the 2nd to September the 14th. So they are still in Zimbabwe as we speak currently, offering them value exposure to high competition, while the others, Danladi, traveled to South Africa for a high-performance training program, giving them a platform to fine-tune their skills ahead of the African qualifiers. Other players on the roster are Vincent, Ridwan, Prosper, Peter, Jumo, Abdulrahman, and Solomon Chimaya, and also Chimele, Adedeji, and Sisan and Joshua Asia also joined the Yellow Greens after missing their last tournament in Uganda. So the trajectory continues with these players. Have been on different training camps for over a couple of months now, and we are going to see how well they would come back with group in Nigeria before, traveling again to go and represent Nigeria in the qualification stage. We saw the ladies trying to battle it out last week, 2 weeks ago, and then they weren't able. Out of 5 matches, they won two and then struggled to qualify. Still, they found themselves in the qualifying stages, and then they'll be going to represent Nigeria in the female category in the 2026 ICC Award Cup that will be happening in England. That is for cricket, and also we'll be expecting the male to, be more instrumental and perform better, and also find themselves a chance, book their own ticket in the qualifying matches. So moving on, Haruna storms into WTT champions Marco last 16. Quadri Haruna, the Nigerian sensation, made a powerful start to his WTT champions Marco 2025 campaign with a straight game victory over China's Hang Shuan in the men's single round of 32 on Tuesday. The world number 26, who has endured a difficult run off from his recent months, was in commanding mood as Marco East Asian Games doom, as he brushed aside the wildcard entry to 11-3, 11-8, and 11-8. Haruna won 33 points overall compared to Honjo's 19, converting 19 on his own serve and 14-2 on his opponents. The 36-year-old's dominance was underlined by the 8-point lead and its widest margin and a run of 7 consecutive points, while Honjo's best rally stretched to just 2. The Nigerian now advanced to the round of 16, where he will face the winner of Wednesday's clash between Germany's Patrick Franzika and 6th seed Zheng Peng of China. Haruna's performance is an empathetic return from after a poor stretch that had seen him win just once in the last 6 matches on the world table tennis circuit. So we are seeing that he has regrouped, and then he's improving to get himself into that position where he would go and contend with other individuals. Now we've seen the results, and then that wasn't what he was expecting, but previously, well, now we've seen a bit of change. We'll be going on a quick break, and then when we return back, we'll be having conversations around the World Cup 2026 World Cup qualifiers, results of all the matches that we played yesterday, and then African zoning, and also African and European zoning, and then we'll see how all of this will continue, what team is going to make it, and then what team is going to be hanging in the balance, and what will be done differently so as teams won't find themselves in this dire predicament anymore. So stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is still Talk Sport on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Now we're about to get into the conversation around the result of all the matches that were played yesterday. That's from Africa and also in the European zones. Teams that are hanging in the balance, and then teams that have, automatically qualified. I won't be having this conversation alone. I have a sport journalist here with me in the studio, independent of King, David King. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Talk Sports.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on Talk Sports.
All right, let's get it going. And the result we saw yesterday wasn't what we were expecting, but we'll get right into that conversation quickly. Let's start off with the results of all matches played as yesterday. The result of match day 8 and match day 6 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers in Africa and European zones played on Tuesday have been confirmed. South Africa played a 1-1 draw with Nigeria at the Free State Stadium last night, and goals from Williams Trust Ekong on goal and Calvin Bassey gave both Bafana and the Super Eagles a point each. Senegal came from a 2-0 down to beat DR Congo 3-2 at the Stade Matthias Stadium, and then that's the trajectory of how that went. So looking at the group now, Nigeria in Group C. David, what maths now are we expected to solve to see that Nigeria will get to qualify?
Well, mathematically, we are still in it, but it's very difficult. It's been a tumultuous World Cup qualification campaign for us. When you cannot beat the likes of Lesotho, Zimbabwe at home, I don't know who you want to win against. It's been very difficult. I think the players have shown very little heart during the World Cup qualification campaign. They've not left it all on the field of play. Too little, too late for us. Coach Eric Chelle has been able to garner, I think, about 8 points from a possible 12 or 15. But yeah, it should have been more. But he's tried. I think he's been the one that has garnered the most points here. Jose Peseiro started on a lackluster note after our big bounce in the Africa Cup of Nations, where we reached the final. We thought, okay, with that form, with that zeal, with that zest, we were going to go into the World Cup qualification and crush every team that was before us. It's not impossible with the plethora of stars that we have. But managing these stars have been very difficult. Peseiro failed, and then in came Finidi George, catastrophe. And then again, Austin Eguavoen was called in to take charges of a few games. And now here we are with Coach Chelle. So it's not been good enough with the chop and change of managerial positions. This usually affects team psyche, it affects their mentality. If I come into a locker room and I see a different gaffer, let's say in the last 2 years we've had more than 3 to 4 gaffers. How does that help me? How does that help the tactics, the technical setup of the team? It doesn't help in any way. So changing of managers, chopping and changes have surely affected Nigeria. I thought they could have stayed with Jose Peseiro, but that's past tense for now.
Gennett Rohr also past tense now.
Yeah, Gennett Rohr is past tense. I'm coming to Gennett Rohr. Talk about Gennett Rohr because he's doing marvelously well with Benin Republic. The Squirrels, I'll tell you, have 14 points. We are not even behind South Africa. Nigeria is talking about going to the World Cup. They are not even second on the log. Nigeria is not second. Nigeria is third on the log with a miserly 11 points garnered from the games played. So we won only 2 matches, if I'm to be correct. That is so poor. And then Benin Republic has amassed 14 points as we speak. If South Africa were to be deducted 3 points and 3 goals for fielding an ineligible player, I don't know why FIFA is yet to do that or to carry that out at the moment. I don't know why. If they were to be deducted that, they will be level on points with Benin. With 2 games to go, so it still gives them hope. So sometimes a disappointment might be a blessing in disguise. We let Gennett Rohr go at a very crucial time where he was ushering in growth, he was ushering in players left, right, and center. And we never had issues with qualifications under Gennett Rohr. Fact check me. We never had that. So now with Benin Republic and South Africa, who knows, it might be Benin even going to the World Cup with the last 2 games and not even Nigeria, because I don't see how we are going to go to the World Cup. I said mathematically it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely that we qualify for the World Cup. So this means that we are going to miss 2 World Cups
in a row.
I was here in Abuja the last time when that catastrophe busted. That was after the game. The game itself ended 1-1. A catastrophe, and then the other one, a disorganization here in Abuja. You need to go and see the state of the main goal of the Abuja MKO complex. Remember, for which an allocation has been made by the federal government of over 12 billion naira to be rehabilitated. Where's that money? Has it been put to use to rehabilitate the member? That's a story for another day.
That's a story for
my
another
friend.
day.
Let's
still on the conversation. Let's bring you a quick highlight of the game that was played between the Super Eagles and the South African team. Afterwards, then we'll give our proper analysis of the team selection, and then the early injury that Ola Aina got, if he played a role, and also the injury that Victor Osimhen got in Uyo, if those injuries played a negative role, or is it the fact that Eric wasn't able to manage the players well and the team selection didn't really work out? But before we have all of this conversation, let me bring you the highlights quickly of that game from yesterday before we try dissecting and then